How much of that was on camera?
Hi.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Arlan.
Hey.
Welcome to Austin again.
Thank you. Who came for the bites? Yeah. All right.
The benefit of
That's what it
being
feels like.
at the Future Food at South by Southwest is all the food.
Yeah.
There's
it's
a
amazing.
lot of food.
It's amazing. I love what the team before us was doing. The Starbucks.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
So we are so thrilled to be here. Thank you all for being here, and thank you to those watching from home all around the world. This is Future Food South by Southwest, and I am so excited and have the pleasure of interviewing the amazing and humble Arlan Hamilton.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
So Arlan might not need an introduction, but for those of you who might be encountering her for the first time, she built a venture capital fund from the ground up. She was homeless at the time. That's insane. Congratulations.
I attended South by Homeless in 2015.
She was at South by Homeless at 2015. Since then, she has $20 million under management. She's raised over 30, and I'm pretty sure this is the start of it all. This is just the beginning. So let's see how these numbers grow. Awesome, Arlan. Super excited to have this conversation with you to talk about how you did this and where it's going. And just to give you all, so I'm here too. My name.
Hey!
My name is Sweta, pronounced Shetta, even though it's spelled with a W. And thank you to all who make an effort to get that right, but I do not get offended. It's only my parents to blame for that. I am a behavioral scientist, and I do a lot of media around climate and how we really need to start changing perceptions and getting people to behave in a way that's more aligned to the science so we can live on a safer, more equitable, breathable planet. So that's what I do. So, first and foremost...
That's pretty cool.
First and foremost, we got to address the elephant in the room. The elephant in the room is that as amazing and cool as Arlan is, there's somebody that's cooler here.
Many people.
One person in particular. We like to call her Mrs. Sims, even though Arlan calls her mother.
It's my mother's 73rd birthday today, and she's spending it with us right now. Yes. And that filmmaker right there is my brother.
The whole family's here.
Yeah.
Entourage, love it. You can't be sans entourage. Got to bring everybody with you, and that's something that's so unique about you. And in fact, that's a good segue to my first question for you. I learned from you this morning that nobody can tell you to tone it down. You will not let anybody tell you that you can't talk about something, except Mrs. Sims.
That's right.
So tell me a little bit about the relationship with your mom and how she's influenced your career thus far.
Oh, well, as I mentioned moments ago, you talk about entourage, talk about, rolling deep and all that. Always going to have mom with me because she was with me when I was in that car trying to attend South by to raise the first part of that fund. She was with me in the car, sleeping overnight. And so she's going to be with me at the Four Seasons and the this and the that. You know what I'm saying? So very much so has influenced. We argue every day. It was her birthday this morning, so I called to argue with her because that's my gift. Yep. The sky is blue. No, it's not. But, I think all the cool things I like about myself that have to do with having a personality of being strong and opinionated and all of that, I think, I joke with my mom about it, but I do think that that's where I get it from, and that's served me well so far.
You're changing the game. You are a rare person in this space. Talk to us a little bit about the stats right now of what it is to be a VC and how you walk into a room and heads turn because it's so rare to see a woman of color and a woman who is LGBTQ.
Yes, in those rooms and other rooms. Well, so, thankfully, things are better than they were a few years ago. They're getting better every year. In some ways, definitely some ways they're not. But generally, at any given time, you can assume that about 90% of venture funding and angel investing is going to white men in this country. And as much as I adore them, got a few in our entourage, they only make up a third of the country. So doesn't make sense, right? It's every GIF that I want to put, right, make it make sense. And so that's what I learned about 10 years ago, that stat. It's changed, it's ebbed and flowed, but think about everyone who is not a straight white man, everyone else is sharing 10%, or give or take. So that is, on itself, in itself doesn't make sense. And I've been in rooms where there have been dozens and dozens and dozens of black and brown investors, VCs, who are unsung, who are doing the work. We exist, but often when we're not in those rooms together, when we're out where there are thousands of others, right, we are the only or a few. And, I don't always just want to talk about what's wrong, what can be fixed. I think there's an opportunity to really highlight what's gotten better, and just kind of rooms like this. I mean, to be frank with you, when I did attend South Bys in the past, pre-2019, rooms didn't look like this. Yeah. And I think anybody who's been here more than 1 year understands that, even with the 2-year gap. So it's that I think we should always make sure that we don't lose sight of the fact that these statistics are stark, but we should also celebrate the fact that we didn't wait around for somebody to make it better. We've been making it better.
Well, you're applying science, whether you even realize it or not here. Okay. You are the investor, and you're getting these funds to those women and other founders that wouldn't have the opportunity otherwise. You look like them, and they look like you. And so that's
and we're cute, aren't we? Thank goodness.
And that's actually entrenched in science. We need more representation to actually be able to get those who have been disenfranchised, historically underrepresented, to actually have those opportunities. Otherwise, they're just not going to have those opportunities. So you're doing it. You're applying the stats that we know will work, that will actually bring more women leaders to the boardrooms and actually allow them to create that generational wealth that you speak to. So that is absolutely awesome. You are leading. You have the support of the science community behind you there.
Awesome. Can you go back to my high school and have a word with any of my science teachers? I don't know if you're allowed to curse in high school as a teacher, but they all found a way when it came to my work there.
Well, I mean, I imagine you would curse right back if they told you to tone anything down.
No, I'm a very respectful person. I don't know how to curse, Mother. Never cursed a day in my life.
You're doing something really right, and what I that's a curse word? Who knows nowadays? You are doing something so right, and what I love about you is you stick to your values. You have your convictions, you are unapologetic about it, you lead with it. So what is it that you look for when you're trying to identify and prioritize investments? What's important to you?
I'm looking for, it evolves over time. And I'm very happy to say, half this room is our team. So raise your hand if you're at Backstage Capital. Is Backstage here? Yeah, a couple Backstage. Yeah, we got Runner in the house too. Yes. So at Backstage, what I'm happy to say is that everybody at Backstage has a voice and has a way to if they're not a check writer, they can bring a deal to the table. So it is about, my phone is ringing, I'm gonna turn that off because that's annoying.
It's okay, your mom has 4 phones.
She literally has 4 phones.
And they were all going off this morning at the same time, 4.
She has 3 cell phones and 1 watch that tells her when one of them is ringing. And she was on them all morning. Okay, anyway. It's not a judgment, it's just, it's incredible. I can't even get one watch to be on time. I'm looking for today, the first 200 investments, right, was looking for a spark, looking for a potential, looking for something that was maybe not seen to the naked eye, all of those things and I'm still looking for it's like this spark you see. But I'm also now looking, and this has a lot to do with what we're talking about here, I'm now looking at things that I have this measurement. If it would take me a decade or more to figure out on my own and do myself, because I'm an executor, right? If it would take me a decade or more to put the team together, make it happen, I don't have that sort of, like, none of us had that sort of time to change gears, over 100 different companies. So if you can come to me and say, I'm working on this, and I can look at it and say, would it take me a decade or more to figure this out? If it would, if I pour money or time and energy into you, I'm catalyzing your work. I get to live through you, and there's an impact that's there, and I mean that also, in a capitalistic way.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so you're finding a lot of really innovative ideas coming your way. Tell us a little bit about some of the companies or the founders you're excited about. Specifically, we're here at Future Food, South by Southwest.
Yeah.
And there's some food companies that you're looking
yeah.
at too, right?
We have some amazing food companies. Journey Foods is one that comes to mind. Rihanna is she here? She's Austin-based now, and they're working on, have been for years, the data science of food and being able to provide that data science and the information to other companies so they can make better decisions about sustainability. And that was when we invested in really early years ago. And I mean, it's just a brilliant, anybody met Rihanna? Like, just a brilliant Black queer woman, and just being overlooked for so long. Now it's just obvious, but that's the type of thing we like to invest in. Gooder is another one that comes to mind. Jasmine Crowe, I think she's in Atlanta. She just had yesterday a food drive where she gave away 7 to 10 days worth of food to people of Austin in the cold. Y'all know how cold it was yesterday. I know Russ was here. He was volunteering. Thank you, Russ, for doing that.
That was not okay. The cold.
The cold,
yeah,
yes.
The cold. The volunteering's great.
Russ, what were you thinking? Yes, and what their company does is they go into airports, sports arenas, other corporations who are throwing away tons of food every year. They go in each night, pick up that food, distribute it, and get it where it needs to go.
That's
so
incredible.
it doesn't go to waste. Doing it as a for-profit company that is sustainable as well. So, and she's just killing it, and it's the same thing though. It's the same. I saw her speak 2018, and I was like, I needed her to be my life coach. If you ever see this woman talk, I'm like, why is she not inundated with funding and resources? Why does she have to explain herself?
Right.
That's why Backstage exists.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is so cool. And these are the kinds of companies that really fit that criteria of yours that if you took the time and directed your energy, you could do it, right? But you are serving founders who are doing it, who are turning these ideas into reality, and they couldn't be more necessary. We're gonna have 10 billion people on the planet in the next 30 years. We have to double our food production, and we have to somehow do this sustainably while the planet is warming. Mm-hmm. So these are the companies that are really addressing the great global challenges we're all facing.
Can I ask you something that's off, because we didn't prepare for this? Yesterday's how cold it was. I've never been to a South by that was that cold. Does that have something to do with global warming?
Any sort of extreme temperature variations that we're seeing is because the global average temperature is warming. And because of that, we're gonna see more extreme weather events, and we're gonna see real variations in temperature. Texas had a freeze, and this year, and of course we remember what happened last year, and it was really not prepared for that kind of winter weather. Yeah. And so that's what we can anticipate with the planet warming.
So it's half silly, but it's mostly serious, right? If you came from out of town, you didn't pack for freezing weather because it's Austin, it's South by, you're used to the barbecues, and this is really affecting us right now. Like, I'll be honest, when they say, your grandchildren may have to start, I'm like, I ain't gonna have any grandchildren, we're good, go for it. I'm kidding. But but
Mrs. Sims.
Yeah, we've talked about it, it's okay. But the thing is, if that doesn't compel you, like, it's wonderful to think of people afterwards, and that I do. That's why I'm doing the work that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But if that doesn't compel you, think about yesterday, how cold and windy it was in March in Texas. This is happening. It's happening, and we can do something about it.
You're a behavioral scientist again. No, seriously though, finding the right messaging that resonates with who you're trying to motivate, so they change their behavior or they support some policy, that's behavioral science. How do we communicate?
Boom. Man. Can we go back to, everybody, let's go back to my high school. road trip it. It's in Dallas. We can road trip it.
So food resilience, right, as a issue related to the planet warming. Food security is a big issue. We know that we need to still be able to sustainably and nutritiously feed the people on the planet currently, and of course, well into the future. So how do you think about food security, especially the inequity that exists in the United States and globally? How can we start thinking about where VCs and money managers generally can really lift some serious muscle together and create innovation in this space?
Yeah, I'm not an expert in this space, but I can tell you I'm an expert in being hungry. I'm serious. I'm an expert. I've had food insecurity for 85% of my life. And before I was 35, and things started turning around, I'm 41 now. And so I know what it's like to go to bed hungry. I know what it's like, how it affects you at school, how it affects, I think a lot of people in this room know, and you wouldn't expect it, you know? You don't know who you're talking to. You don't know what people have been through. And so I think the whole system of venture capital is a really big story. You know, it's a whole other world, getting them to figure a lot of things out. But I think if it doesn't take all of them, that's first thing. It also takes changing the face of venture, because I don't spend a lot of time trying to convince people who don't agree with me. I try to find my people and reinforce their behaviors. I guess that's what we're doing here. And because we're stronger than we think, right? And we get together. So I think that it's about, like, I was going to say, the more VCs can meet people and have that human connection and know what they're fighting for, that's one thing. But I don't know if that would be my personal way of doing it. But if we can just educate me, like, I need to know more. Can we educate the investors who are who care about this, of all stripes, who care about this, and take it even further? Think about the company I talked about earlier, Gooder. I mean, that's an amazing company. How many people would invest in that company right now if they could, right? So this, to me, like the crowd, investing, angel investors, you know, people wanting to support that. It's GOODR, so look it up. The way you support it is you go check it out, you retweet, you do all of that, it's for free. They shouldn't have to beg for scraps.
Right.
To do the work they're doing. Because on top of all of the good it's doing, they're making millions of dollars a year. They're a viable company. Right. And, you know, I'm not going to try to wake up venture capitalists who don't get that, but, we have to figure something out.
Shareholders will be happy. The bottom line will,
I think
succeed.
That's why I try to stay, that's why we, at Backstage, we coined underestimated over underrepresented, because I'm trying to get us away from this idea of, as soon as you think about diversity, you're thinking about down and out, you're thinking about people that you're helping, it's a charity. I mean, the work that the companies in our portfolio who work on food sustainability and others do is for the world.
Right.
It's for every single person. So I guess we could tell the VCs that their caviar is going to go bad if they don't figure it out. Like, we got to speak to them, you know.
And there's so much untapped potential here. That's the thing. Yeah. We are just like at the tip of the iceberg in terms of unleashing the power of different perspectives from women, from historically disenfranchised groups that need to be part of the solution.
And they are. There's so many who are building companies right now.
Right.
It's not like there's a lot of seed work to do, for sure. But there's stuff happening right now in our backyards, cities across the country, across the world, that are just not being seen. So we're just trying to pull them to the forefront.
That's awesome. And for you, it's really important to hire and make sure that you're hiring a diverse group of people as well. Let's talk a little bit about that. Why is that so core to your values?
I mean, we just fly. Like, again, raise your hand if you're a Backstage or runner. Like, look how fly these people are. Like, how are you not gonna want to be around them? You know what I mean?
Tell us about Runner. Tell us about Runner.
Runner is fractional operations talent matched with inclusive companies. So it's like a staffing agency or a temp agency, but brought into the future. And very excited about it. And you can go to HireRunner.co to check it out. And it's, there's, I don't know if anybody saw this on Twitter, probably my team only, but a few days ago there was an announcement about this new crypto fund at a big fund. And they there's like 7 guys, first of all, just 7 guys, first of all, 2022. And then I think there were 2 of them that they just photoshopped a few times. They really, really were wearing the same clothing. They're I'm gonna be serious. I'm really serious. They're individual people, and in each of them, they became a meme, but they're individual people, and I will say that. But for someone to allow that photograph to be celebrated on International Women's Day, I think it was, to say, oh, this is cool, let's do it. I mean, it was to the point where they were superimposing like Kohl's and J. Crew things on it. So I replied to that, because I don't know these people from Adam, although I think all of their name was Adam. I replied to that and just said, hey, who am I to judge? And then I showed a picture of our Backstage Capital crew.
Yeah.
Diverse team. And I said, oh, well, maybe it was just a fluke. Maybe we just did it one time. Showed a picture of the HireRunner crew. Diverse team. And it's just rich. It's rich, and we're all going to be rich with it, right? Yeah. Like, it's rich tapestry in the execution of it. You have all kinds of opinions, points of view. It's truly diverse, right? Because people like to use the diversity of thinking is enough. We have that too.
Yeah.
And then you have a standard, a very high standard at both companies that I appreciate for quality and for integrity. And it's fun. Like, every time we see each other, we've been seeing each other, like, I just saw y'all last night, we saw you today, hugging, and it's just like, we just like being around each other.
Is there room for another woman of color?
Please. Yes.
I'm kidding. In case the founder of our company is watching, I'm still here.
You could be there's things you could do with both, because we definitely need. Yeah, I mean, it's just, how many times have you gone to somebody's, like, you've liked the company, like product, and you're like, man, I want to work there. But you've gone to their page, their About Me page, and you see a page that kind of tells you, oh, I would be like the first this or the only, and hey, I am guilty of it too. It's not like we have every single person represented, sure, and you can only have one and that's enough. Like, we need to do better too. But it really does invite people when you show them what you're attempting, that you've made a really concerted effort to do it.
Absolutely. And we need that. I mean, I think I've said this twice already, just in this segment, but there's science to support the need for diversity so we can actually contribute all these different perspectives and find those innovative solutions, because we need them to overcome some of the biggest global crises that are coming our way that we're already witnessing. Climate change and its many impacts, food insecurity. This requires diverse perspectives. So everything you're doing, it's excellent, it's aligned to your values, it feels good, all of those things, but it's also necessary. It is important, and it will help the business bottom line. We just need to remember that.
Yeah.
That's amazing. All right, so you did
You're hired.
Ingmar, I swear I still work with you. So we don't have time.
Bring Ingmar along.
He's in Stockholm, Sweden. That's where we're broadcasting this from. So we don't have time as the media partner here, and we are getting a global audience, so we're super excited about that. And one thing they might not be as familiar with that we'd love for you to explain is, what loophole did you find in the regulations that allowed you to create this new model of bringing in more people into the VC space?
Oh,
It's fascinating.
So I don't know if a loophole is, I think it was hacking a little bit. So we, in 2021, about a year ago actually, right now, we at Backstage raised $5 million in 8 days for the operations of our company. And so the way that venture works, if anybody doesn't know, for the most part is however much money you have under management, meaning how much you've raised and like total, you get about 2% of that per year paid out. And that's what you use for all your overhead, your expenses, and everything else. So, like, to go from being homeless sleeping on the floor, sleeping in a car, to raising 20 million plus, raising another 30 now.
What are your digs like now?
Oh, they're cool. They're cool. But to go from that is, first, it's wonderful. I'm not going to minimize that. But it's a drop in the bucket with venture. So for us, our assets under management have never been enough to really take care of the team. That's this amazing team. And so it's been just figuring out like a startup, runway. So it was November, December of 2020. I've had just about enough of everything at that point. And I was kind of tired of waiting around for institutional money to get us. And I knew that you could crowdfund for a company, but you couldn't crowdfund for a fund just yet, unless you kind of did a lot of work that we didn't know how to do. So I worked with our legal team and with Republic, which is the platform that we use. You can use any kind of platform for crowdfunding. And I said, okay, we have this problem of runway, but at the same time, this is my life's work. I believe that it will be valuable. It's valuable today. I believe it'll be even more valuable. Whenever I get any extra money, I pour it into this company. And even when it's not extra. So I said, with enough education, with enough transparency, I think we could have thousands of people invested in Backstage and feel very comfortable with that. It's a lot of responsibility, but I think, like I said, with a lot of explanation, education, I feel comfortable doing that. So in March of 2021, we raised $5 million in 8 days from about 6,500 people. So now 6,500 people share the same upside. If we have events, which we already have started, they share in that with the team. And the team itself shares in it with the partners, and usually in venture capital, that's not the case.
Right. That's awesome. Right. You just taught me something.
Cool.
The scientist does not understand finance whatsoever. Yeah. So here we are. They chose me to interview you, though. So
yeah.
Thank you. No, thank you. That's great. And so what are your hopes for the future now? What are we looking to see Backstage do, Runner do? What can we get excited about? What can you tell us that nobody knows yet? I promise you I wouldn't be that provocative, but that's the one.
What can I tell you that nobody knows? Well, you said it's being filmed, so I don't know if I can say much. But I can just tell you that I was recently interviewed by Time, and they asked me where I saw myself in 5 years. And I said that I would be one of the top 10 richest black women in the country, with Beyonce, Rihanna, Nim. We're friendly, we're saying Nim. And I believe, the reason I was able to say that without somebody coming up and punching me in the face and being like, oh, who do you think you are, is because if there's upside for Backstage, if there's upside for Runner, I plan on making it so that at least 10,000 people benefit from that. So for instance, at Runner, anyone who's on the talent side, which would normally be considered like gig economy, they're W-2, and they're going to have upside with us if we have an exit. So maybe another company wouldn't have done that. I'm not going to shout them out, but any kind of gig economy stuff, if they have an IPO or if they exit, get acquired, those types of things, usually the person who's like that end user is not getting a bonus. Right. We're making it from day one that they will. Because I want thousands and thousands of people to directly benefit from anything that I do, and then hopefully that means that millions will be impacted by it.
This is why, yes, seriously, this is why we're sharing your story, truly, because you've lived it. You've had that lived experience of how hard it was, and you recognize that everybody wins if you can lift as many boats with the tide, right? So yeah. I think I said that analogy, right? You're that analogy.
Yeah, that's why we roll deep. Like, it's not just because, we want to just kind of party. It's what's the use of having anything if we're not able to share it? Like, my favorite investors are crowd investors, angel investors, right? I became a venture capitalist so I could become an angel investor. So I could make enough to become my own investor, right? And I think that's our future, because when everybody raised their hand to say, I would invest in Gooder or this other company, that's power. That's power. It shouldn't be one guy over there or one woman over there who has all this power. I think some singer said that. Some rapper said that at one point. But it shouldn't be just in the hands of a select few, because they're not going to get all of it. They're going to get some of it and understand some of it, but they're not speaking to all of us.
Yeah.
So even I don't think that I should, people talk about like sending me deal flow because I'm recognizable in that way. There are like dozens and dozens of funds that are now built by Black women and by people of color and LGBTQ investors. I just want to spotlight them as much as possible.
So let's say you are a founder or a potential founder in some of these areas of interest that you have. How do they reach Arlan? How do we get to your desk and say, here's something we think might be interesting for you?
I have a couple answers to that. First, it reminds me, I want to give everybody, as many as we can, I don't know if it's everybody, but I want to give people who don't have my book, It's About Damn Time, this is the name of it. We have some copies, some free copies for you. Do you know where that is? Yeah, Chacho and Diane. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, there's some copies back there, so please grab that. It tells my story. It also is like there's an FAQ at the back that tells you all about being an investor, being an entrepreneur. Also, this is the first time I'm remembering to do this on stage. I'm so excited. If you go to Arlan's Academy, ARLANS Academy.com, there are 20 or so experts on there. There's hundreds of hours of curriculum. It's free right now. It was paid. It is free right now, powered by Runner. And I've watched every single video. Before I put it on, I watch every video, and it's amazing content, including my own, I will say that. But it's amazing content, so I want you to really take advantage of it. Arlan's Academy, don't just take advantage of it for yourself, but send it to somebody that you know or who you know will benefit from it. And like if you go speak at schools, if you know people, everybody can benefit from it.
That's awesome. And for those of you who are tuning in and watching on your devices, you can check out the website and order the book online.
Absolutely, yeah. You can order the book online for sure, for sure.
And so so this has been an incredibly inspiring conversation to those who are already working in food security, food resilience, other impacts of climate that require innovation. So this is something you obviously care about because you're on this stage as well. We're at Future of Food, South by Southwest. So how do you speak to companies that are launching and thinking about being sustainable as they get their operations underway? Because there's no future here where business operations are going to be not able to run with the ethos of without the ethos of sustainability. And so is that something that would be important for you to see as well as part of a business plan?
Absolutely. When I talked about the decades-long, that's how I look at it from the lens, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about things that a lot of it falls into this category that's going to be more interesting to me. The things that are world-changing, game-changing, very visionary. And when it comes to like every company being able to do that, I don't know, do you have a book? Do you have a website?
Yes.
Please tell us what that is, because I think a lot of it has to do with education. Because I wouldn't know, half the stuff that you know, obviously more than that, right? I wouldn't know what you know, but I feel like I talk about becoming the asset when you don't have money, because money attracts money. So you become money by taking in information. Nobody can take that from you. So if you have information that you can share, I think that's a really cool way to start. Because we can't just do stuff overnight, right? We got to get that spark and then go from there.
Yeah. For those of you who are interested in exploring business ventures and would like the support of the business community behind you, go to wedon'thavetime.org. It's a free tool completely to download and use, and it connects you immediately to other startups, to other multinationals, every business along their journey that is attempting to make their operations more sustainable within the company, but then across the value chain, and ultimately to inspire climate action through society. You can't just keep all of this good climate action to yourself. That's climate hushing. We need to communicate what we're doing, our good climate action, and that's how we're going to really see societal overhaul towards a healthier, more equitable planet.
Amazing. Thank you.
No, thank you. We have 45 seconds left. I would love, Arlan, for you to maybe shout out your mom one more time.
Hey, Mom.
It's her 73rd
It's her
birthday.
Are we going to sing? Let's do it real quick. And they have like a little thing they're going to do, like the Sandman on the Apollo. So I'm real scared right now. So I don't know if we won't sing right now. We'll just kind of head out. But say hello to my mom. Grab a book after this lovely panel happens, and I'll see you out there. Bye, everybody.